Hello, everybody, and welcome to our live studio. First of all, thank you very much for taking your time to participate in our event about giving feedback in the working environment. I'm quite sure you will learn a few approaches that you can apply immediately in your work with your colleagues. And also, I must say that I'm super excited to be with you today because this is our first live. Okay, I'm going to use a presentation for you to make it easier to remember certain concepts. Let's see what we are going to talk about today. First of all, about how to prepare for feedback effectively, because preparation is important for success as anything in life. Then, when to choose the best time. Is it really true that we have to give feedback right away as a behavior occurs? Then, how can we give it effectively so that people hear us? People know what to change when they hear it from you, and when you tell them how you can change it. Afterwards, I would like to show you some feedback formulas, some little tools, that you can use anytime in your communication, that you can also easily remember when you need it. Then I'm going to discuss about praise, criticism, and feedback. What are the similarities and differences? What kind of mindsets there are? And I'm going to use this opportunity to say a few words about our business communication masterclass. So at the end, there will be a candy for all of you who stay until the end. Okay, a few words about me. I'm Zoran Metikos from Perfecta BDI, and now my job purpose is to be a business improvement strategist and communication enhancer. I'm sure you noticed the word job purpose instead of job function. This is because I try to see my work as a purpose and implement it in all, let's say, levels in the company. What's the purpose of all of this? Before, I used to work as a teacher, translator, project manager, operations manager, business developer, and managing director. So almost all the functions in the company. And by education, I'm a linguist, an executive MBA, and a professional coach. Let me just give you a few tips to make it all easier for us in this live. Please use the chat function to ask any questions or share ideas. And I will give you the answers at the end so that we use our time effectively for the presentation. You can use other emoticons as you wish, of course, for your nonverbal communication. As we all know, it's not only the words that we say, right? It's our nonverbal communication and tone that matters. And all of them can be, let's say, easily seen or felt in our oral communication as well as the written one. First of all, I would like to start with the mindset. Whenever we are doing something, it's important that we have the appropriate mindset, because then our reactions, our words, whatever we say in our communication will be much easier. So somehow it will flow naturally. So the first statement that I really like to use, that I've started using a few years ago, goes like this. There is no failure, only feedback. So it means that I basically see my every mistake as a feedback, as something that gives me the room for improvement, But this is also what I believe about the others. So when I give feedback, they know that, okay, I can tolerate my errors and make changes immediately, but I also tolerate others. That's why I also invented my own, which is called feedback for protocol. I like to say feedback for president in this case. It means that every feedback that occurs in a company can be implemented right away in the workflows, in the procedures, so that you make sure that unfortunate events, that I don't call it a mistake or error, doesn't reoccur. Okay. Now that we have the right mindset, that we've approached it, with the right way of thinking, let me share with you that feedback is given normally about a person's behavior. So when we give feedback, we don't basically mention the person's skills or competencies, let alone their values and beliefs or their identity. What does that basically mean in practice? For example, behavior is something that a person has done. So when we use, for example, a description, some facts, some pure observation, so that there is no judgment. So when person hears our feedback, there is no this shut off, that they don't close emotionally to receive it and, of course, to implement the feedback. For example, your email to the customer yesterday was not appropriate. So this is describing a situation. We're not saying about the person's communication skills or their identity. For example, you are a bad project manager, okay? Or you are, I don't know, a terrible communicator. How come you sent an email like that, So first of all, thinking about behavior. And I would also like to point out that one behavior does not constitute a person, like one identity does not constitute a person. I'm just trying to somehow talk about this because I see that this often happens in this cancel culture that's popular. Okay, one behavior and done, we're not friends anymore. You don't work for us, We don't know what happened with that person at the moment. And that's why we should then try to use our empathy, cognitive and emotional empathy much more. Okay. What is feedback actually? As I told you, feedback is given about a person's behavior. But in our, let's say, communication model that we have as persons, if we want as managers or co-workers or whoever, expand our trust and credibility in our environment, we should be more open about ourselves. So it gives it gives the people around us foundation to trust us more. So if we expand our open arena, if we, there are more things that people know about us and that we know. And in this quadrant that's often used in leadership and communication theory, which is called the Johari window, there is a quadrant that is called the blind spot. So these are the things that we don't see and other people see about us. And this is what feedback is, let's say, born for. The feedback should be used about, in most cases, about the blind spot. Of course, in this communication model, we all have our hidden arena or area. For example, the things that people don't know about us, our secrets, and we want to keep them. And the unknown that we don't know and people don't know. For example, if I tried sushi, okay, I did, but for example, if I didn't, nobody around me knows it and you don't know it, okay? So a blind spot. And now it is a question of time, when to give the feedback, Is it really true that we have to give it right away? Well, I would say normally yes, but feedback is first and foremost used, to describe the good work and resourceful behavior of another person. Then we give it, for example, when we know that it's highly likely that the person can improve, that the behavior can be changed, and consequently their skills can be improved because of our feedback. We give feedback also when it's expected, be it like regularly, if you give it regularly, or for example, our co-workers get used to us that we actually give feedback regularly, so that we kind of implement this feedback giving culture. And we should always give feedback about a serious problem, something very important and very maybe detrimental to the company happens. So it should be done right away, regardless of other consequences. So when not to give it? This is the most important questions. First of all, when you don't have all the information. I don't know if you remember, I told you feedback is giving about our behavior using only the facts and observation, because in this way, people will feel that we are not judgmental. If we are not judgmental, they will be open and they will receive it properly and effect change properly, hopefully. We shouldn't give feedback basically when there are unchangeable or uncontrollable factors, things that we cannot influence or that the person cannot influence. Something happens, some tornado, we cannot really do anything about it. We should not give it when the recipient is emotional or vulnerable. For example, after a very difficult conversation with the client, when the client was angry, etc. When you yourself don't have time or patience, it means that you are not in this emotional and mental balance so that you can give it in a respectful, non-judgmental, and sophisticated manner. And when feedback is only your personal preference, for example, when it won't basically affect any change in your company. To make your lives easier, I've prepared a few feedback formulas. I like those mnemonics, all those tools and techniques, some divisions, for example, that you have to easier remember when you need them and in a specific situation. So for that purpose, I chose today to talk about feed forward. The second one is called AT-AT, ask, tell, ask, tell. Then the suggestion model and the bad news model. Okay, I'm sure that it sounds very interesting to you to see how you can apply it. As regards feed forward, the very name says it. I don't know, it's supposed to feed back. Feedback is given after behavior, after an event, and feed forward is given before the event. So, for example, that some person hasn't basically, improved in your opinion, and before a customer meeting or whatever, you just tell them what to change in a very, let's say, effective and sophisticated way. So with feedback, and in any other communication tools or approaches, we always have to have a goal. What do I want to achieve? So what is the goal basically of this feedback? Why is it important for me to give this feedback right now? And here you also focus on the positive change and benefits of the feedback. So what will be positive about it, and of course to show your appreciation. So, for example, I can give you this example about a person who sent a, let's say, not really appropriate email to the customer before. And I give my positive intention and my goal by saying, for example, I'm giving you this comment because I have high expectations of you and I'm confident you can reach them. So please bear in mind that when replying to an angry client, take your time to calm down because your anger might seep out of your fingers. I really appreciate you taking time to talk about this. Okay, so this is also a very easy formula. I'm sure that you might use it in your communication, but just feel free to make any comments about this if you have any questions, any further explanation or clarification or whatever you need. Okay, the second formula is called ask, tell, ask, tell. Normally it's like ask, tell, ask. But I like to call it this way because it reflects its nature best. This is basically where we are in the role of a coach. Basically, we ask a person a question so that they give the feedback themselves. So it will be much more easier if they realize it instead of us, telling them what to do. So it's practically a self-assessment. But in our answers, in our discussion, we give our feedback, and then we make sure that the feedback was understood and implemented. Okay, so for example, after a presentation with the client, we can ask the person, so what do you think went well during the presentation? They say something. Okay, then you say, yes, I also think that customers like the facts and figures. You can use that approach every time, I believe. And then the second magical question, what could be improved in your opinion? When they say what could be improved, then you can add your opinion. Yes, you're right, I agree. It was a bit longer than expected by the customer. If I were you, I might take more time to rehearse next time. So this is the suggestion, from the I position, from you. So if I were you, not like, okay, take more time to rehearse. I mean, okay, you can do it. Nobody forbids it, but it just depends, what kind of tone you want to set in your communication, in your business communication. Okay, the third formula is called the suggestion model. It has 4 elements. Propose, when you give a suggestion, basically you propose a change or something. Then you talk about things that are going to be prevented. Then some gain, let's say some benefit, some reward that will be given due to such behavior, and why it's easy, because we all like to have some easy rules, and easy to do things. We will be more motivated. So this formula is not only good for feedback, but also as a motivation formula, for in many business communications. So, for example, you didn't like the presentation of your coworker, and you want them to prepare another one, and it has to be done by tomorrow. So you might go like this, when you propose it, you can frame it as a question and say, so what do you think about preparing a new presentation by tomorrow? You won't have to bother with adaptations every time we have a meeting. And on top of it, it will enable us to sell more products to new customers. It's rather easy, if you use those brand new templates that we have, So you see, when you read it, and I don't know if you feel motivated, to do the presentation by tomorrow. It's much, let's say, softer if you say it like this, instead of, okay, please, this presentation is not good at all. I want you to do it. I want you to do another one by tomorrow. So these are all those, nuances that I've been talking about in feedback. And the fourth formula that I like very much, and I like to apply it in feedback as well as other different communication approaches, is when we have some bad news. So if you want also to set a much nicer tone, we can say the bad news first, then use but, and some good news or something good, basically, that in this case, then and good news and good news. Basically, 1 bad news and 3 good news. For example, your supplier, is complaining because you forgot to pay the invoice, and you can always say, okay, sorry, we didn't pay the invoice, we'll do it next week. But to make it more softer, you can say, okay, unfortunately, we haven't paid your invoice, but it has been forwarded to our accounting department. They placed it in the e-banking, and it will be paid next week. I don't know if you can see, okay, three good news. So when you read it like this, it sounds much, let's say, more appeasing to the recipient in our communication. Okay, now, as I mentioned in the agenda, I would like to bring your attention to differences between praise, criticism, and feedback. As you remember, I mentioned that feedback is always given about our behavior, and that feedback is oriented towards our future and the strength of a person. But if you compare it to criticism, okay, it should be also given about certain behavior, certain facts, certain observations, no emotional attachment, no judgment, and about past and weaknesses. But I would suggest using the feedback model instead of criticism, because I really believe that it's more effective, and that we never basically use a person's identity in giving feedback. You are bad, you remember this. But in case of praise, You can, and actually it's desired, to praise using the person's identity. You are a good project manager, you're a good communicator, you're such a good person. So this will show, let's say that you have had positive experience. It will give them an additional uplift in their behavior. But it's not that simple as it seems. Although I like formulas, there is a lot of psychology, in the background that we have to know in relation to feedback, praise, and criticism. I want to mention also some psychological concept that is called internal and external mindset. So what does this basically mean? In terms of, let's say, behavioral patterns in our understanding of the world, we can have the external mindset, meaning that we need some external authority, something from the outside, some outside sources to confirm that something is good or that we've done a good job. And internal mindset is for those people who don't need any external authority. They know by themselves. They know inside, they feel it, and it's okay for them. So if you tell them too much praise, they won't appreciate it, that much. So how can you recognize if you have external and internal mindset? First of all, you ask yourself the questions: how do you know that you've done a good job? Now, what was the first answer to you? Okay, was it like someone told me, or I simply knew it? So if it's someone told me, that you probably have external mindset in this context. It's also, let me add it, important to know that this is very contextually dependent. You're not external and internal in all contexts and situations in life, but maybe at work you are external, maybe at home you are internal. So as regards external people, they definitely need feedback to know that they've done a good job, that everything was great, be it by the team members, by the manager, or, I don't know, email, whatever. They need it. They react very positively to feedback, and they are glad to change their behavior. They really appreciate praise. They need it. Simply, they're wired that way. It's not like that they need attention. That's basically, it's basically them. And they're highly motivated by external opinions. So if you say something, I would strongly recommend, maybe you could do this, they will react very well to this. As opposed basically to the internal mindset people, they are normally the best judges of their work, because they say, I simply knew it, I felt it, and they may see you, okay, maybe they can consider you ridiculous, why is he or she saying me this? Because I know that I did a good job. They're very skeptical about negative feedback, so they might not implement the change because they will believe, is he, stupid? Why is he saying something like this to me? And also, they don't react that well to praise and criticism. So when you recognize such team member or person you communicate with anywhere, you might start, the communication by saying, I know that you did a good job. I just wanted to say maybe you could change this or that, or what you might think about changing this or that, because then they will in themselves judge, how to implement it. So if you say it, okay, do it, change it, they will see it as a command and probably develop a huge resistance to change. Okay, I'm sure that now you are thinking about what mindset you are mostly, or people around you. But also you can be, for example, 70 external and 30 internal. These are things that are not absolute. This is simply human psychology. Okay, now we've come almost to the end. I still have this workshop, and I just wanted to sum it up, what we talked about, that the goal is feedback, knowing why to give it is extremely important, that without preparation, it probably won't be that successful, it won't be received. If the person shuts off and doesn't hear you, then no use giving feedback. That you have to take care that you are in a good mental and emotional state, that you're not upset, that you have the right view of the feedback, that you use description, facts, observations, anything that can be checked easily and the person can understand, and cannot use counter arguments for this, so that it's as white as day. that you use the suggestion model and appreciation for the things that will be achieved or implemented. Okay, and in the end, I wanted to mention a few words about our business communication masterclass that was going to take place next week. It goes a bit deeper into communication, especially in the virtual and hybrid working setups, where there is a lot of miscommunication, so what you can apply, and there will be a special focus on feedback, on delivering presentations, resolving conflicts, and how to perform best in meetings. And of course, there is a special candy for all of you who've been with us here. During the registration, you can use the Master code, and you will save almost 50 euros. Okay, now let me see your questions and comments. If you have any ideas, any other approaches that work for you, maybe you would like to add something. Okay, for the time being, I see only the comments of my colleagues. Oh yeah, and we have the link to the Business Communication Masterclass. Of course, this live will stay here on LinkedIn for your future reference, so you can take a look at it. I don't know. What do you think about these approaches? Do you think that you can use them right away, as I said at the beginning? What about those formulas? Are they easy to remember? So that you can pull them out of your sleeve, when something stressful happens at work. I don't know. We still have a minute or two for this. And of course, I would like to thank you very much for showing up and listening to us live. And I'm especially happy because this is the first live. I was a bit nervous about this, but okay, I think it's normal, to have some stage fright every time. If you don't have it, there might be something wrong. Especially because I wrote about it, a few weeks ago. We published an article about stage fright in presentation. So now I try to, use my own principles here, to practice what I preach. Okay, I don't know if there are no questions. If everything was clear, then thank you very much. Hope to see you in the Business Communication Masterclass if you think that this might help you and your team. And see you on another live or any other event. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of the day, evening, or night, wherever you might be. Bye-bye.